Well, it's the first Monday in the month of August. It's time to talk business on TVC News. The big stories in the world of business. Nigeria's electricity generation drops again. That's what everybody doesn't like to hear. Now it's below 2,500 megawatts. I keep saying this, for a country of almost 200 million people. This is really worrisome. 28 African countries signed the single African air transport market of the African Union. And also the big one in Lagos is the Society of Petroleum Engineers Conference. It's ongoing at the hotel. This is the big one, the players in the oil and gas industry. Everyone is gathered in Lagos. GMD, NNPC, talk about it. All the CEOs of all of the oil conglomerates are at the hotel, coming together to see how they can use technology, artificial intelligence, and all of this to fight challenges, to actually address issues ranging from pipeline vandalism, ranging from all of the negativity affecting the oil and gas industry. That is happening now, and we'll be bringing you up to speed with discussions around that too in subsequent news bulletins. Also, Apple Incorporated launches new credit card with Goldman Sachs Group. International Monetary Fund says Zambian economy will slow down by 2% this year. Today, let's look at investment inflows into Nigeria. According to the figures coming in, Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, Nigeria recorded $15.15 billion investments across key sectors in the first half of this year. Well, let's say maybe you have a share in that money. We'll be back shortly. Electricity generation in the country dropped below 2,500 megawatts over the weekend due to low load demand by the distribution companies. According to the Nigerian Electricity Distribution or System Operator, total output from the nation's 27 power plants dropped from 3,364 megawatts on Thursday to 2,649 megawatts on Friday. It fell further to 2,492 megawatts on Saturday. The system operator puts the nation's installed generation capacity at 12,910 megawatts, available capacity at 7,652 megawatts, transmission wheeling capacity and at 8,100 megawatts, and the peak generation ever attained at 5,375 megawatts. The Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria wants to step up its support of businesses in Nigeria. This will help such businesses compete with others around Africa. With the recent signing of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, we have details in this report.
Nigeria only recently signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Members of the organized private sector have already asked the authorities to put in place modalities that will assist local industries in keeping up with demands of the agreement. This is in terms of improving production output.
The president can insist that this is what I want. It will be done. I want to put an end to regulation being a stumbling block to business. I want to put an end to government agencies doing the opposite of what they were set up to do. Instead of asking for the Export Promotion Council, instead of asking for 9 documents for you to enable you export, make it just 1 document.
But the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency is concerned that existing MSME output may not match inflows of finished goods into Nigeria from other parts of the continent.
We should do much on the macro businesses and small businesses so that they can grow and they meet up the competitiveness that is there waiting for them by the signing of the African Trade Agreement.
The agency now assures it will play its part in empowering MSMEs with skills that will prepare them for associated demands when the trade agreement comes into effect.
I think we also need to double up our effort so that we can improve the life and the quality of the product of these entrepreneurs by way of enhancing the quality of their product, enhancing the packaging, and then the operation, and also to escalate and increase their production.
The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement aims to push up intra-African trade to 52% by the year 2020. It is also designed to help the continent become the world's largest free trade zone.
A total of 28 African countries have signed the Single African Air Transport Market of the African Union. The move allows for a review of air transport agreements between them and the federal government. Director of Air Transport Regulation of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Edem Oyoita, says the liberalization of air transport is an opportunity for domestic airlines as well as the industry to grow. Some of the countries are Benin, Burkina Faso, Botswana, Cape Verde, and Central African Republic, Chad, Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, among others. These countries, according to the International Air Transport Association, represent over 80% of the existing aviation market in Africa. With the new agreement, many more carriers within the continent, are expected to begin flight services into Nigeria. Nigeria attracts a total investment volume of $15.15 billion US dollars. That's for the first half of this year, 2019. According to reports from Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, mining and quarrying sector accounted for 81%. The report showed that a total of 43 projects across 12 states and the Federal Capital Territory were recorded from January to June. The amount was 67% less when compared with the same period in 2018. The breakdown shows that Royal Dutch Shell PLC accounted for $10 billion in crude exploration. Moroccan OCP Group, $1.5 billion investment in the manufacturing sector in Ogun, Kaduna, and Enugu State. Malaysian Yinson Holdings, $900 million, and Seplat, in conjunction with NNPC, $700 million in Nigerian offshore sector. The major destination was Nigeria's offshore sector with 77%, followed by Ondo State at 7% and Lagos State at 4%. The former Director General of Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu, joins me now live from our Abuja studios. Dr. Chijioke, it's great to have you join us this Monday afternoon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
NIPC as Promotion Council, Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, is reporting 15.15 billion just for this time and this year. We could say first quarter. How does this figure come to you? Are we doing well or something needs to be done?
Obviously, we're not doing well. If you recall that at the end of 2018, foreign direct investment into Nigeria declined by about 36%. And between January and June this year, we're also having a decline of same by up to 67%. Obviously, this is an indication that we're not doing well. The question we need to ask is, why are we declining to this extent? Why have we continued to decline from 2017 to 2019? Are there things that are going wrong? What are our peers doing, other countries in Africa? When you look at the kind of foreign direct investment in a country like Egypt, as high as it could be and ours as low as it could be, yet we answer the giant of this continent. Our economy is supposed to be the largest in Africa, but when it comes to foreign direct investments, we are running even lower than some countries in West Africa. So the question is, what are those things that are going wrong? If you ask me, yes, a good number of people have said it's because of the political era. A lot of investors didn't want to come in until they watched the trend of our politics. I could only say that this particular reason is contributing only less than the main reason. The main reason for this abysmal performance of foreign direct investment into Nigeria is because of the level of insecurity in the country. Many times, some people will shy away from this fact, but that is the major fact. Many investors are reading and watching TVs from wherever they are coming from, and then when they see the fact that their lives may be in danger, they will want to come. So we need to quickly address the insecurity in the country. And until we address this level of insecurity, yes.
Yes, very importantly, yes, insecurity is something that we really need to look at this time. But let's now look at this figure released by NIPC, saying more than 20 countries still invested in Nigeria despite all of these challenges. What do you think could be responsible for this? And more countries are still trying to come in. What's attracting them really to Africa's most populous nation?
Yeah, two major things attracting them into the country. The first thing is the size of our economy. We still remain the largest economy in Africa. And of course, you called it most populous country. The next attraction to them is our population. So when you combine our population and the size of our economy, it becomes a major destination for any investor. And that is just why they are coming. But to say the least, don't forget that they are also entering some other countries in Africa more than they are entering Nigeria. So the interest they have in Nigeria is because of our population and size of our economy. So these are the two major reasons.
Okay, Doc, okay, go on, Doc. Go on.
Yes, when our security situation improves,
okay,
I am very certain we are going to be having more and more of these investments in Nigeria.
Okay, Doc, let's now look at mining and quarrying is accounting for 81% in all of these investments, leaving manufacturing, finance, insurance, in all of the sectors. So I think, are we now looking at that shift away from oil? Is it becoming a reality in your,
yes,
if you look at it?
Yes, it's very interesting to know that such number of interests will be coming into mining. And that's to say that it's been a latent area of our revenue base that we have neglected for such a long time and allowed to be managed by illegal miners for many years. So this time we need to get it right by making sure that we harness the various opportunities in the mining sector, which obviously could sustain this economy if we take it very seriously. So it's a welcome development that a whole lot of miners, many investors are trying to come into the mining industry. So we need to put we need to put our acts together to make sure that it becomes a reality and we take full advantage of this particular development.
Doc, just last week we also got figures from the CBN showing that the PMI improved. There was an improvement, and that's for like 28 consecutive time or something that we're having this improvement in the manufacturing sector. Now that we're looking at the AFCFTA that has just been signed and a lot of expectations for Nigeria, how do you put this side by side?
With the signing of this policy in Africa, it is actually going to be an encouragement for manufacturing sector because what it means is that the frontiers of their market has been enlarged. So it is just for government to ensure that all the things that have been inhibiting manufacturing within the country will be removed so that we'll have more and more manufacturing companies springing up at different levels, at the levels of MSMEs, at the levels of medium and large manufacturers. And in fact, the entire real sector should be developed. But you know, this sector cannot develop in isolation without the efforts of government providing enabling environment for this sector to grow. And of course, enabling environment includes making sure that we have funds available for this sector, because this sector requires credit facility all the time, and that when we have these funds, they must come at a very cheap rate. So once we work on the availability of this fund and at a very cheap rate, of course, the PMI is going to continue increasing. We expect that that rate will continue to grow.
Let's touch on foreign portfolio investments now and foreign direct investments, which is something we've also always talked about. I see many people like to just bring in funds into this country, and once they make a little bit of profit, moving it out. And analysts like you have argued that we need more foreign direct investments. What are you looking at in both of this now, which is still on the high side? I think the FPI is still more than the FDI.
Yes, we need to do a little more to have this foreign direct investment into the country. Apart from what I talked about in insecurity, we need to also do some branding, a little more branding. Branding, in this case, requires that we need to reach out to some media houses like yours, your media house, and of course some foreign media houses like the CNN, the Fox, the Al Jazeera, and the like. And run some image building campaign. And when people see these things, instead of seeing the negative side of the country, let them be seeing the positive side of the country so that more and more investors will be confident enough to come into the country. So if we do this, I'm sure we're going to have a good number of people wanting to invest in Nigeria.
Now, almost finally now, we have new set of ministers. Now the list is out. They've been screened, they've been confirmed, and it's just for them to be handed designations. So we know specifically what ministries they will handle. Let's look at whoever becomes the Minister for Finance, Budget and Planning, which has more to do with us and the world of business. What are your expectations, Doc?
Yeah, our expectation is the fact that the fiscal side of the economy has to be more serious, just like the monetary policy side of the economy. You know, if the monetary side, which is being handled by the CBN, continues making all the efforts and not a complementary effort coming from the fiscal policy side, then, you know, we may not be able to achieve all that we want to achieve in growing the economy. So we expect that the person coming in as a finance minister must be sound enough to understand that fiscal policy contributes a whole lot in the growth of the economy, and a lot will be expected from the debt side of our economy, the tax side of our economy, and in fact, everything that has to do with the fiscal policy of the economy. So we require that somebody coming in to handle that position must understand the importance of the fiscal policy in development of any economy.
All right, Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu, former Director General of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for your time. Glad to have you back. Apple Incorporated has launched a new credit card with Goldman Sachs Group for financial transactions. The Apple Card customer agreement says the card cannot be used to purchase cash advances or cash equivalents. That includes cryptocurrencies, casinos, gaming, chips, and racetrack wagers and lottery tickets. The Apple Card is part of a broader effort by Apple to derive more of its revenue from services after years of heavily reliance on iPhone sales, which declined 12% in the most recent quarter. Goldman Sachs Apple partnership is part of the investment bank's efforts to build strong customer and consumer relationship. Facebook Incorporated has begun adding its name to some screens on its Instagram photo sharing platform. The move comes as the world's largest social media company faces greater scrutiny from regulators around the world for more transparency over data privacy practices. While not immediately visible to users, Instagram from Facebook can be seen a few clicks away at the bottom of the certain page on the Instagram app on some iOS devices. Facebook co-founder Chris Huge says the company will also add its name to WhatsApp messaging services. Let's see what's happening in the market as I join my colleague, market editor Effiong Ekop. He's standing by live downtown Lagos. Hello, Ekop. What is happening?
Hello, Tolu. Good afternoon.
Yes, take it away.
When we closed in the positive territory, after market mid-trade, we were able to reverse the negative trends and we closed in the positive territory. The big news that Dangote Flour has brought into the market was able to impress stockbrokers and other market operators, and the indices improved, and so the market closed positive. I said in mid-trade that Olam, an international company, has come in to bid for Dangote flour, and it wants to take over the company, which is now a quoted company, and if that happens, it will now have to leave the stock exchange to go into the group and become a private company. Olam is offering 24 naira for every piece of unit held by investor. Market price of each of the stock is currently 20 naira 35 kobo. And so Olam offering 24, you can see the premium, and it's a good deal. And many brokers are advising their clients, to go for it. Olam needs this sale of many of the shares to be able to take over the entire Dangote flour. Olam is an international company, and it operates in about 70 countries across the world.
Great. Effiong, what other figures do we have coming in? It's the first Monday in the month of August. We know what played out last week. What are the other sectors looking at? Consumer goods, oil and gas. Can we touch briefly on some of them as we start the new week?
All the market sectors were down during mid-trade until Dangote was able to bring in this good information from the manufacturing subsector. Major subsectors of the market, actually left the trading floor with losses. Talk about insurance, banking, oil and gas. It hasn't been easy, going through all of these subsectors, because nothing in the larger society has been able to hold on activities to a point that we see up and up trading each day.
Effiong, thank you very much there, bringing us up to speed with the trading pattern for the 5th day of August, first Monday in the new month. That's our show. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, same time.